It is so cold. Hi guys, Annie here, and today we have a video I've been waiting to film for a long time. It is my worst books of 2020 video, and it is freezing. I live in like a subtropical climate, but it has been in the -°C for the past few days, so I am in my comfiest clothes. This sweatshirt is so comfy, and it's so soft on the inside. I love it. So that's what you're getting today. So let's get right into my worst books of 2020. So the first book I want to talk about is Girl, Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis. I really disliked this book. Obviously, it's on this list. Rachel Hollis is ableist, fatphobic. Like, there was so much fat-shaming language in this book. And also, she is just, like, she's a wealthy white woman. And I know a lot of wealthy white women write self-help books, but she just, like, throughout this whole book, she loved to brag about it. Like, she was talking about all her rich things that she does and like all her rich self-care and like visiting her nutritionist and stuff. It's like, well, normal people can't do that, Rachel. Like, thanks. It just wasn't useful at all to me. And I am a big fan of self-help, or as I like to call it, self-improvement books. And this just did not work for me at all. So do not recommend. The next book I want to talk about might be a bit surprising because it's a sci-fi classic. It is Dune. I hated this book. And I was so sad about it because I wanted to love it. I really wanted to love it, especially with the new Dune movie coming out. Like, oh my god, the trailer to the new movie looks amazing. I'm still gonna watch it because it just looks great. And I really think that maybe the story might be better for me in a film adaptation instead of reading it. It was so boring. It was so boring. I hated it. It was also very hard for me to follow. Like, I don't know. It's just so boring. And it's because it was so boring that it was hard for me to follow, I think, because I got bored and I stopped concentrating on it. And then I was like, what just happened? What's going on? It was just, I gave it 2 stars. I really liked the premise of it, and I appreciate that it is such a classic big name in sci-fi, but I just couldn't do it. This book was not for me. I'm sorry. If you like Dune, I am glad for you because I really wish I liked it, but unfortunately it has to be on my worst of 2020 list. The next book is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Ugh, it was so bad. I don't even know why I finished reading this. I started reading this because I had read Gone Girl earlier in the year and I had read The Woman in the Window. And I liked them both. They were both fine in their own way. They were both good and intriguing. They were really intriguing. And I really wanted more of that, like, thriller, kind of, like, mystery. Like, you have to figure out what's happening. And I don't know why I finished this book. I really hated every single character in this book. They were just all horrible, horrible people. And I have realized through reading these books that I really hate reading about people cheating on each other. And that's basically all this book was about. I absolutely hated it. The big murder mystery was pretty obvious. It was not very mysterious, in my opinion. And the main character was just insufferable. And I also hate that she was an alcoholic. I know people talk about this. You know, a lot of women characters, especially in these domestic thrillers, are unreliable narrators because they're alcoholics. And it's just like, come on. The next book on this list is Devolution by Max Brooks. I read World War Z and I liked it. I thought it was super creative, really, really well done. This book was horrible. As soon as I started it, I was like, oh my god, I regret this. I picked it up because, first of all, Max Brooks. Second of all, Bigfoot. I love Bigfoot and cryptids. I love cryptids so much, and I really wanted a good book about cryptids, and I didn't get it. I was so disappointed. The main character, it's written through her journals, and like she's stuck in this town that is isolated now because Mount Rainier blew up, it erupted, and now they can't get out of this town. So she's in this small community, and now they're being attacked by this group of big feet. Bigfoots, big feet. I don't know. Yeah, it was just so bad. Like, she's writing these journals to her therapist, which is like, okay, so he wanted a female character that was like mentally troubled, and it's like, okay, so she has anxiety, she has depression, alright, she has issues with her husband, whatever, I don't care, give me the Bigfoot, give me Bigfoot. Like, I don't want to read about this woman's domestic troubles, I want to read about Bigfoot. I appreciated the LGBT rep in this book, so that was good at least. But she just whined so much about stuff that had nothing to do with Bigfoot. Like, nothing really happened throughout the first half of this book. The ending wasn't satisfying. It was a disappointing read. The next book I want to talk about is The Snowman by Jo Nesbø. If you watched my October wrap-up, you know that I really hated this book a lot. It was so bad. And again, I really wanted to like it. It has been recommended in a lot of booktube videos. I don't know why. It's horrible. It was so misogynistic. Like, just in a disgusting way. The main character is horrible. He's just a boring, like, middle-aged man fantasy. Like, he's dark and brooding, and he can have sex with any woman he wants, even his ex-wife. It's like, come on. Like, he smokes, and he's like a brilliant detective who's tortured because, you know, he loved work more than he loved his wife, so she divorced him. Boo-hoo. Like, get over yourself. And the mystery of the snowman, which is why I kept reading. I really kept reading this because I was sure. Like, I like crime. I like reading about serial killers. I think it's interesting. That's why I started this book in the first place. I picked it up, and I knew I hated it. It was so misogynistic and insulting. But I had to keep reading because I was sure, like, there must be some reason why people like this book so much. And there isn't. It's just so bad. The mystery was really easy to figure out. It was just... The next book is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. I am very disappointed in this. I was very excited for this. It was a new release this year. I was so excited, but this book did not live up to what it advertised itself as. It was not a thriller, not at all. The ending was extremely unsatisfying, and there are some books where the big mystery isn't actually solved at the end, and you're like, okay, that works. Like, I don't need it to be solved because that's just how it should be. But this book was just... like, it was pointless, but nothing worked out at the end. It's not even that it had a bad ending, like, we just don't know what was going on the whole time. So I don't get it. There were also scenes in this book that borderline were pornographic. Like, it was just way too much. Really way too much, and totally unnecessary. Just so unnecessary and disgusting. Like, I don't know. It was just way too graphic and just had nothing to do with the plot of the book at all. Like, how about take those scenes out and actually work on the plot of your novel, please? Thank you. The next book was Fina by Nina Cipri, and I didn't hate this book. It was just not at all what I wanted at the time. I gave this 2 stars. It's a small novella, a sci-fi novella about these 2 employees in a furniture store a la Ikea. And they're working there and this wormhole opens up and one of their customers goes into it and they have to go find her. Okay, interesting concept. Wormholes are cool, I guess, but I don't know. I picked this up. It was on my list because it had LGBT characters. I don't know if it's just me. There are some books that just get it right, where they have LGBT characters and they feel like actual people instead of caricatures. And I find that it doesn't really have to do with whether the author is LGBT or not, because LGBT authors make this, do this as well, where sometimes they just feel so in your face. I don't know what you're trying to tell, what are you trying to prove to me? And there's definitely a way to deal with issues that feel more natural. The problem is that these characters didn't feel natural at all. It just felt like the author was like, okay, I have this kind of cool sci-fi concept, and the main characters are going to be queer, and that's their only personality trait. Okay, no, people are more well-rounded than that in real life. You also have other aspects of your personality, and these characters just didn't. And also, I feel like the book itself as a whole really could have used more editing and more fleshing out. But it wasn't terrible by any means, it just didn't work for me. So if it sounds interesting to you, by all means, check it out. The next book is Ikigai. This book has been on my TBR for a long time. I think I found it through one of those life coach YouTubers out there. It was bad. I was very interested in a book about this concept. Basically, the Japanese concept of your purpose in life. And your purpose is supposed to mesh together what you are passionate about, what you can make money with, and what can help others. And I was interested in reading about it, I'm a young adult of trying to find my purpose in life, so it was an interesting concept, but the book actually didn't have really much to do about that at all. It was just disappointing. The author talks about his travels to Okinawa and how everyone there lives to be over 100 years old, which is interesting. That could have been a different book, but not this book, because as far as I know, having your purpose in life doesn't really affect how long you live. It was just confusing. It was all over the place as well. It was super disorganized, and some of it was just a complete rehashing of Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, which is like, why are you doing that? Just go read Man's Search for Meaning instead, don't steal his work. It's just, I don't know. I do not recommend this book. It was disappointing. But I hope in the future someone will write a book that is actually about how to find your Ikigai. Okay, so let's start off with some honorable mentions. The first one is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. It was so disappointing. I really wanted to like this book. I still gave it 3 stars. It was good overall, but first of all, it was way too long. Too many characters, although I understand why. I really liked the concept, but no spoilers. But the big twist was so obvious. I guessed it way before it happened, and actually while I was reading it, I was thinking oh, I bet it's this, but that would be too obvious. There's no way the author is gonna make it that. And then he did. And I was so sad. I was like, come on, there's a Black Mirror episode exactly about this. Why would you do this? It was just so disappointing. And also, I felt like the main guy was just boring. So, unfortunately, I did not like this. But I didn't hate it. So that's why it's an honorable mention. And the last kind of honorable mention is we play ourselves. This is an honorable mention only because it's not actually out yet. It's coming out in 2021. I got an arc of this from NetGalley, and I really disliked it very strongly. It is about this woman who used to be a playwright, and she was involved in a scandal where she like attacked another playwright because she was jealous. Yeah. I don't like plays, first of all. I like musicals, love musicals, don't like plays. So that was kind of an issue from the very beginning. So if you don't like plays, don't read this. If you like plays, you will probably enjoy it much more than I did. Because you could tell it was written by someone who likes plays. So yeah, that's something that I can't really fault the author for, because whatever. But this book was not advertised correctly. The description of it involves this group of young teen girls who start this fight club, and I thought the book was gonna be about that, but it was more about this main character who just, it's all self-pity, the whole book. It's like, come on, like, I wanted to read about these girls who have a fight club. Like, that sounds so cool. If there's a book coming out about that concept, I really want to read it. But this book was just not for me. I really appreciate the general message of this book, which is that, you know, you can start over no matter what mistakes you've made, and like everyone, you know, you don't have to figure things out so early in life. You don't have to be successful right out of college. You can wait, you know, your 30s and 40s are not too late. And that's a really great message. I really liked that message, but it took so long to get there. So unfortunately, I don't recommend this book. So that's it for my worst books of 2020 video. I really hope you all enjoyed, and please comment down below with your worst books you read in 2020. I'm really curious to know. And I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more bookish videos. I'll see you next time!